frames and some animations how to design. I hope you all people tried them. Right. Now, next important, one more responsive design I told you. For that, we will see how to add media queries. We will see media queries, basic media queries, how to use. Actually, media queries, we have at the net media. First, you have to mention type, media type, and we have to use and we need to use the query. That's how we need to configure. So, media and query, we have to define the media types and queries, right? So, technically, the media types are nothing but we have to define type as screen, we have to define type as print, and we have to define as speech. Already we discussed about this in the beginning of CSS itself. That means when it goes to print out, we will display different colors. When we watch on screen, we will display different colors. That already I showed you while learning about style type. You remembered style have media. We have seen that. That actually we can write by using media query. We can write by using media queries and we can work with it. Technically, when you are writing with the media query, so it will be like this syntax at the net media print and what effects you want. Or you can define simply like at the net media screen and what effects you want. You can define that. So here temporarily I will give one example. Suppose we have some paragraph information. Now I want when I am printing, that means I will use media screen. So when I am watching on screen, then this paragraph must have some border, 2 pixels, solid red color, background color yellow. Like this, we want to apply some effects and color as red. So like this, we want on screen. But when I take it to print out, so padding some 5 pixel. When I take it to print out, I don't want those colors. I want plain style. Then we can design like this. We have to use media print. For print paragraph, we will keep border as none. We are removing border and we will put so background also as none, no background, and color we will set it to black, and padding we will no need to keep because border we are removing. That means on printing we don't want, on screen we want, or on printing you can put different. That means on printing, suppose I want black border, background gray color, like that we can define. So when you are watching on screen, it will display like this. When we open printer properties, Control P, printer properties, in that it will be normal. Only on screen it will display. On printing it will be normal. We can do a lot of things. Not only that. That means, for example, suppose inside this paragraph we have an image. Image source is some public, so public images. In that we have some image backpack width and height I defined like this. And on printing, I don't want this image in printing. While printing, I don't want some company logo or something is there, I don't want. So then what we can do is, so in printing, we can just put image, display none. That means actually image is displayed, but when I go to print out, image will not be displayed. That means you can display only what you want. You can display where you want. Where you want also you can change. For example, in printing, company logo should come at the bottom. On screen, it should be top. Then you can change positions. We can put position, fixed position, absolute, and all these things. So we can design for various media types. We can design for various media types. So this is example. This is example. I will copy this. This is various media types. Next important, we have media queries. Actually, queries contain lot of things. In queries, what you can do is you can define. In queries, we can define width, we can define height. So actually, width, because height we don't control actually. We use width, and another is we have max width, we have min width, and we have the option like orientation. These are the things we use in queries. Width, max width, min width, orientation. What is the meaning of width means? For example, you see now, suppose I am taking this page and I am not using any media queries, remove it now. I am not using any media queries. I am just having some paragraph, and let's delete this image also. Yeah. So just one paragraph information is present. Now what I want to do is, when I am adjusting the width here, I am adjusting the width of window. I am adjusting the width of window. At certain stage, it should change its orientation. Better what I will do is, let's create a simple navigation bar. Let's create one simple navigation bar. We will keep unordered list, list item, home, list item, about. So list item, contact, something. And here every list item, I will give width 130 pixel and padding as 10 pixel, font size as 18 pixel, and border as 1 pixel solid red, background color as some tomato, so color as white. So these are the black. These are the options for list item, and every list item and unordered list, list style as none. That means it will display in this way. Now what should happen is, normally it should display side by side. And when I am decreasing my width, I want to come one below another. So depending on width, we want to control it. For that, actually, you can write queries. First, I will show you the meaning of what is difference between width, min width, max width. What is difference? See, width means actually exact width of window. Exact width of window is width. Exact width of window is width. Exact points. Exact points. That means see now. So how do we write the query? I am writing like this. At the net media, media is screen, and here I am writing width. Width, how much? I am giving the width. So width is some 500 pixel. If width 500 pixel, observe carefully. I am just using body background color yellow. First, I am showing you what is the meaning of width. So body background color yellow when it is 500. Now see, I will open this now. I will adjust the width here. When I am adjusting the width at the 500 pixels, it will set the background color as yellow. But very important, you have to reach the correct 500 pixels. You have to reach correct 500 pixels. That is very difficult. That means exact 500 pixels means it will be, width will be set to 500 pixels, then it will apply. So exact width is impossible. It is very difficult. You see, I am using inspect. In the inspect, what I am doing here is I am toggling this mobile, or I will simply select here responsive. So dimensions, width is suppose 500 is the width. When the width is exact 500, its color will adjust. But that is not right point of displaying. Why it is not right point of displaying? Because width 500 pixels means nobody can correctly put 500 pixels. That is the reason we use the combinations like this. What we do is we write max width. Max width, suppose I given as 500 pixel. Max width 500 pixel. That means now see here, I am adjusting this. Now see what is happening now. What is the meaning of max width? Max width means nothing but max width means up to the width defined. Understood? Up to the width defined is max width. Means suppose if I given 500 pixel means 500 pixel means up to 500 pixels it will have that effect. From 500 pixels I want different effect. We have to use min width. Min width means from the width defined. That means we have to say this is from 500 pixels different. That means you see now max width I given 500 pixels and it is yellow. Let's write one more query here. At the net media screen, and here I am giving min width. Min width is 501. That means pixels. From 501 pixels, I will put here body and I will put background color as suppose lime, some lime color. That means now you see here, it will be lime color. Observe carefully. See now, this is the width. Up to 500 pixels, yellow will be there. After 500 pixels, then green will come. That means you are changing that. Max width means up to that point. Min width means from that point, starting from and ending there. So what is difference between width, max width, min width? Width means exact width. Width means exact width. Max width means up to that point. That means you can simply say that this is from starting to 500 pixels. From starting to 500 pixels. Min width means from 500 pixel to end. 500 pixel to end. That is min width. End up to the end. It will be that. So max width and min width are important to understand. So orientation here we can give landscape or portrait. That is the orientation. So here we are giving it now. Let's copy these two things temporarily. That is example, but that is not our main concept. Our main concept is now based on that change. What I want to change is here, if the max width is suppose 400, I will give. If max width is 400, that means up to 400. So what we have to do is, so this list, so list item display as block, and margin bottom 20 pixel. Up to 400 pixels display block and margin 20 pixel. It should be displaying the list item. That means it will be like this. Now from 400, after 400, it should adjust side by side. That means what we have to do, after 400, min width 400, now you can give 400. That means from there onwards, what it will do, list item we will keep display as inline, and we will give margin left, or we will give margin right as 20 pixel. Now you see, now what happens is this is adjusting. Now when you are adjusting that here, so you see actually I 400 minimum, already 400 it is. We will do one thing, 500 we will give. Okay, here also 500. Okay, now you see when I am adjusting that, it will come to next line, because actually current width is already 400. We can't go less than that. That is the reason. Increase it. When I increase, then now automatically after reaching 500, automatically they will come side by side. When they come side by side, we can keep several other options are there. Width is 150, 140 pixel, like that. I am adjusting the width. It depends on your requirement, how you want to configure. Again adjust, then it will come into like this. So we are changing the position and we are displaying the content. This is not orientation. This is not orientation. This is adjusting the width of window. Orientation means it is not adjusting the window. Orientation means you are rotating the screen. That is suitable for devices which you can rotate, screen rotate. That means, for example, I am rotating my screen now. You see, I am rotating my screen. It is not changed. It is not changed one below another. It is displaying same. Why? Because we haven't written for orientation. We have written for width. That means this will affect only when user is changing the width. So we can configure min width, we can configure max width. What is difference between width, min width and max width? Right? Suppose this is example. So in this example, I will copy this. This is the program. I will copy it. Okay, this is the sample program for handling the width, min width and max width. Now, orientation already we saw that. Orientation we already discussed it. What we do. So we have to define screen. So display block. That means we have to configure and what is it? Orientation. Orientation is what? This is block will be for portrait trait. When it is portrait, it will be like this. And if it will be landscape, that means we are using and orientation. Orientation is what? Landscape. Landscape. Orientation is landscape, it will be displayed. These are the queries we are defining. Now, important is suppose I am copying it. Let's open the mobile simulator and I am using that here. And let's present this here. Yeah, and you can see I will keep this on a device. And this is portrait orientation. When I change it to landscape orientation, then it should change to like this. Now you have two options working, orientation working, min width, max width also working. That means we are adjusting based on width and based on orientation. That means you are using multiple queries. You are writing multiple queries here. You can see screen and orientation and max width, min width. You can write multiple queries, right? Many times this question is asked how to write multiple queries. You can write multiple queries like this. Just you have to define with end. That means now here we have type, we have orientation, we have max width. We have type, orientation and min width, right? So depending on what kind of device where you are displaying, these all concepts are important. These all are important. And I given very good example previously already for media queries. Display grid I given. That means we can create a layout in column wise. All will come into one below another, advertisements and all. We designed a perfect example for that. Depending on media query only, we designed that example, right? I hope you practice that example. In display concept, I showed you, right? So we discussed that, but here additionally, we are learning how we can use min width, max width like options and how do we control that. These are all the important options to work with media queries. Now to make responsive pages. So many things are there. As I told you already, one more important is to make the page responsive. You remembered already we finished that we have to use meta also. Remembered in the head section we learned to make the page responsive. What is the meta option we have to give? Meta for responsive. I given what we have to do? We have to use meta name. Meta name is equal to what? Viewport. Meta name is equal to viewport. And meta content is equal to width. Width is equal to device width. And initial scale. Initial scale equal to how much? 1 or 1.0 like that people write. Already we discussed this. In the head section of body HTML, I told you that meta has two things to make the page SEO friendly and to make the page responsive. What is viewport? Viewport is going to decide where you are going to present. Is it a screen? Is it print? That is decided by viewport. And also the width and height of the screen. Another important is content. Content means how the content should fit into the page. So the content should fit according to the device width. What is initial scale? Initial scale means initial zoom percent. How much zoom percent must be there? So actually one indicates 100%. So you can give 1.5, 1.2, 1.3 zoom percent. Why? Because sometimes what happens is, I will show you. Suppose I will keep that here simply. We don't need to write this. Actually, suppose I am writing some small text. Suppose I put a paragraph. So I said some, so welcome to HTML. Another paragraph, markup language. So language like this. So another, so it is used for presentation like this. I am defining presentation. Now what happens is, we are writing meta name is equal to viewport, meta meta content is equal to width is equal to device width, and initial scale is equal to 1. You see, now I am watching this on copy. I am watching this, I will copy here on a device like phone or watch. On a watch, if I am watching that, you see, suppose I select here on a watch like device, if I am watching it, Apple Watch, it on a watch like device I am watching, it looks like this. Now on watch like device, when I am watching, I want it to zoom little bit. That means it should increase the zoom percent. Then what we can do here is initial scale I will give as 2. Then you see, now the zoom percent of text will increase. Zoom percent of text will increase. That means I will use 1.2, little bit increases. Suppose I said 1.5, and you see size increases. Actually 1 means actual size. You can go 0.5. 0.5 means it will be very less. That means when you are going to small screens, you can decrease the zoom percent. If you have the same zoom percent, they will display large. So in that case, we can change that. That depends on this scale. So you can apply this scale 0.5, 0.8 like this. We can define the scale, zoom percent will exist. That depends on, so how you are trying to display the content and where you are trying to display the content. So meta has viewport. So viewport indicates, defines, viewport defines the media type, and it defines the media source, media type and media size and size. Usually we have to configure media type and media size, right? Now here we are configuring another option is another content. What is the content? Content width is equal to width device width. Width is device width. So width fit to device width. That means we can say fits to device width. Another option, initial scale. Initial scale is actually initial zoom level. initial zoom level. That means 1 is equal to 100%. Initial zoom level is 100%, right? And here we are configuring the level of zooming. You can configure the zoom level from 0, right? So the 0 level to the level you have to configure. You can give any level of options. So starts with 0. Starts with 0. Generally, here the point is what on common sense here is -1, right? Actually, the -1, what is -1? What is -1? There is no general thinking sense about -1, right? Because zoom percent we are talking about. Right? We are talking about zoom percent. Zoom percent will be starting with 0, right? Starting with 0, and very important is 0 is the actual one. And if you are giving the values 0.1, that means now it is very less, right? And it's 0.2, 0.4, 0.7. We are gradually increasing the zoom levels, right? So the value starts with 0, and you can go on fractional. So with 0 and increase fraction level, increase fraction. So we can increase fraction means 0.5, like 1, like 1.5, like this. You can increase the fractions and we can go on. That is generally the zoom levels, how we can configure and define the zoom level. Technically, meta already we discussed in the first heading itself, head section while learning. These are all are important to make the page responsive. To make the page responsive, so many things are there. Yesterday I already given a list. Fluid images, fluid containers, fluid uh, grids and flex grids. The grids and flex grids are very important because flex grid already we learned. Flex grid will take content to next line, row wise, column wise, according to the width. And media queries are used for controlling orientation. So we have to control the orientation by using media queries. These are all the basic things you need to know to work with the responsive design. We will create more responsive designs with the help of Bootstrap. By using Bootstrap, we will create more responsive designs. I hope up to this everything is clear, right? And this is not finished. You learned all the concepts of CSS. By using these, we need to build the pages. We need to build the pages. And to make this more faster and to make it more simplified, actually, CSS have a lot of issues, reusability issues, maintainability issues, extensibility issues are there. To overcome the CSS issues, actually CSS uses pre-compilers. CSS uses pre-compilers. By using pre-compilers, CSS can be done in a more easier way, better way. So CSS pre-compilers are used for making CSS more simplified, more simplified. At high level, this is very important to understand, but it requires little bit program skills. I will give you simple hints. Those are enough. You can try them. You can try them later. Once you learn JavaScript, it will be more easy, more easy. But CSS pre-compilers are used to overcome the issue of what you are facing with the CSS. For example, I will tell you some technical problems what we face actually. Suppose we have here div. In that we have a class container. Div have a class container. Okay. And in this now, we are designing a heading. Now we have some heading, suppose HTML and some paragraph. It is a markup language. Now I have some heading and this is web technologies and here we have some paragraph. So building apps for web. So that is just I'm giving option. I want to apply some effects for container. I want to apply some effects for container. Then generally what we do in the style, we write dot container, what effects you want. Now I want some effects for heading in container. Now what I have to do? I have to write again dot container, in that space heading. I cannot write H2 because outside also headings are there. I want to affect only the headings in container. Now I have to put some effects for paragraph in container. Then what I have to do? Again, I have to write container paragraph. Container paragraph. So this is very lengthy. That means child selectors and descendant selectors, rational selectors. These all we have to use very much to apply effects. And repetition will happen. Repetition will happen. So container, again container, again container. So many repetitions will happen. These kind of problems will increase the length of logic. If it remember, it will increase, no problem, that is not a problem. But the point is, it is very complex for developer to write again and again. That is the reason to overcome these type of issues. Not only that, suppose I am using some border. I am using border or I am using box shadow. Box shadow. I am using box shadow 2 pixel, 2 pixel, 2, 3 pixel, some gray, some color, something like this. I want to use same type of shadow for some other content. Then again I have to write it. And I want same type of shadow several locations and they should all change if I want to change. That means 10 times I want to use this. In 10 locations, I want to use it. Okay, I will write 10 times. But I want to change everywhere same. Again, I have to change 10 times. That means this is very complex for CSS people. That is the reason developers have a choice. You can write direct CSS, no problem. Or if you want to improve the performance, not performance, if you want to improve your coding issues, means you have to improve the problems and reduce the problems and improve the issues. So then you can better go with the concept of pre-compilers. Pre-compilers, what they do is, pre-compilers will give you all the facilities to simplify the logic. But unfortunately, they are not understandable to browser. Then what we have to do? We have to again compile them into CSS. That means finally browser uses CSS. But in real-time projects, developer may not work with CSS directly. Not all projects, some projects. Because where CSS is very huge concept. That means in their project, CSS is very important. In that case, they will use pre-compilers. They have to do lot of animations, effects, and so much work is there in CSS. Then they will go with pre-compilers. So because you cannot force the developers, because browser can understand only CSS, then developers choice. If want, developer can use these pre-compilers and make the CSS code simple. CSS code simple. How to use these pre-compilers? What pre-compilers we are having? Let's see how these works actually. The first important is actually pre-compiler. Pre-compilers. Pre-compilers will provide will provide will provide all features, will provide all features for reducing for reducing the complexity in CSS, for reducing the complexity in CSS. They improve code reusability. They improve code reusability, code extensibility. They improve the code reusability and extensibility. Extensibility is nothing but without disturbing existing, you can add some more facilities to it. That is code extensibility. Actually, they they improve they improve minification of code and bundling. I told you minification. Minification means they can reduce the size. Minification, right? Minification of code and bundling. Bundling means actually, suppose you are doing the work like this. Suppose, let me give here. Suppose what you are doing is, previously, suppose you are creating, so a.css, b.css, c.css, like this. And in three CSS file, three different effects are there. I want to use in that home HTML this. Then we have to link all of them. You have to link all of them. That means you have to link a.css, b.css, c. If number of requests are increasing, page load time will increase. Now what we can do is, we can create one CSS file. We can create effects.css file. In this CSS file, we can put all this logic. We can integrate, bundle. We call this bundling. And we will use only this file. That means page will be using only one CSS, but its logic is coming from several CSS. This is called bundling. It will improve the performance of your application. It will reduce the number of requests per page. That is actually done by using these CSS pre-compilers. The CSS pre-compilers improve reusability, extensibility, minification, and bundling concept. Bundling is nothing but minification is reducing file size. Bundling is reducing the number of requests. Reducing the number of requests. So technically, these are all the possibilities with compilers. And what are the popular CSS compilers? Popular pre-compilers. We have like SASS. We have like less. SASS and less are the popular pre-compilers. We have SASS and we have less. But these days we are not using much less. We are not using this less very much. Majority we are going with this SASS. Both are same. Some slight changes. Features wise, SASS is good. SASS is having more features. That is the reason developers will prefer using it. But in some companies, they may be using less also. They may be using less. If you know SAS, you can usually use less. Only the differences you need to know, right? That is easy. I will show you the point here. Technically, now very important is, so SAS is not understandable. Remember, pre-compilers are not understandable to browser. That means you have to transcompile transcompile compile into CSS. That means what developer will do? Developer will write the SAS code. After that, he will compile and it will generate into CSS. This is given to browser. Why we are all these days we are directly writing CSS and giving to browser? By using SAS, you can do lot of work in a simple way. We will see what is the advantage of this. So for that first step, what you have to do is you have to install this compiler. By default, computers don't have them. So computers cannot use SAS. You have to download and install SAS. So first you have to download and install SAS on your PC. If you can download and install SAS on your PC, so actually what is the advantage is you can use in any project. You can use in any project. That means Angular, React, web development, Java, .NET, PHP, Python. Any project that needs CSS can use SAS. So actually SAS technically stands for syntactically awesome style sheets. SAS stands for syntactically awesome style sheet. So that is the meaning of, that is the full form of SAS. Syntactically awesome style sheet. And what are the points already I told you? SAS is a pre-compiler. SAS is a pre-compiler. What are the advantages? Code reusability and code extensibility, like features will be there with this, right? And another option, what is that? Minification will be there. Another option, bundling like features will be there. So how do we download SAS and use it? For that, what you have to do is, first point, you have to open command prompt and type the following. So anywhere in your computer, you have to just run npm install -g SAS. -g is global. Global means if you don't use global, in which drive you installed, in that drive only it will work. If I use global, then it is going to work in any location. That means any project on this computer from any location, it can use SAS. It can use SAS. For that, we have to globally install SAS. So let's open command prompt. And here we have to use npm install -g SAS. So SAS, right? We have to use SAS. So and enter SASS. You can see it is going to download and install SAS on your PC. It is going to download and install so that you can use anywhere. In any project, you can use it. It is globally installed in your computer. Once you do it, now how to use this SAS? Let's see. After that, what you have to do is, after downloading, so integrating, that means using SAS in web project. How to use SAS in web project? First step, what you have to do is you have to create a SASS file with the extension .scss. SASS files will have extension .scss. You have to create a SASS file with extension SCSS. Okay, let's do. Go to the project now. You see, this is the problem now for container heading and all. Let's see. I will remove this now. Okay, and observe carefully here. Let's go to the project, and better we will maintain a separate folder. We will maintain a separate folder called SASS, and this is the SASS folder, and in that you add a new file. I can give the file fx.scss. SASS files will have extension SCSS. Okay. After that, now in this you have to write your code. SASS language contains a lot of things. I will tell you. Here, first thing is very simple. What is the advantage of SASS is you can directly follow HTML structure in SASS. Directly follow HTML structure in SASS. That means first I am writing container. Okay. For container, what effects you want? For container, I want border as 2 pixel solid red. Okay. For container, I want padding. Padding as some 10 pixel. Okay. After that, inside the container, we have heading. Then directly you write heading. Inside the container heading. That means you write inside the container only directly. Inside the container. Earlier, this is not possible. CSS will not allow. CSS will allow only attribute and value. A selector, inside selector is not possible. But here, heading. What heading you want? Heading. I want text align as center. And heading color. Heading color as red. Okay. What is paragraph? P directly. So that means you don't need to repeat container heading, container paragraph. You can put everything in the same structure. That means now I will put here color as blue, like this I am giving. Now save it. Now this is not understandable to HTML. This is understandable only to developers. This is not understandable to HTML. So we are writing this code. Okay. Temporarily I will put that code. After that, what you have to do is transcompile SCSS into CSS. Transcompile means translate into CSS. How to do that? Open the command prompt, terminal. Open the terminal. Remember, open the terminal means open the location where that file is present. That means you have to do like this. Right click on the file, open in terminal, open in integrated terminal. That means it opens that location. You people regularly come with this problem tomorrow onwards. You will say that, sir, file not found coming. That means you may be running the command somewhere else, file is present somewhere else. You have to run the command where file is present. That means you have to right click and open in integrated terminal. It will open terminal. And here what you have to do, again, terminal must be command prompt, not PowerShell. You have PowerShell now. I already showed you how to change PowerShell to command prompt. So this here, we have to run the command. The command is nothing but SASS here fx.scss space fx.css. That means now whatever SASS code is there, it will be converted into CSS. File name you can give different, but we will keep same because no confusions, right? Better maintain the same name. So, but extension should be this. So we will go here now. What is the command? SAS, the file fx.scss, fx.css, and hit enter. It is successfully compiled. You see, CSS file is added. There is one more file added called map file. This map file contains information about migrations. Migrations means version history. That means when you updated recently, the version 1, version 2, that information is present inside this. This is useful not at this level. Later, when we are updating from one version to another version, this file is helpful. As of now, you don't need to worry about that. This is the CSS file. Observe carefully now. Close this. You can see the CSS code now. This is the SCSS. See the CSS code. CSS code in the same way how you are expecting. That is what we are expecting, CSS. But we are not writing like this. We are writing in a simple way. That means we can avoid lot of descendant selector, child selectors, all this. Earlier we have to put lot of brain in. Is it adjacent, all adjacents, or is it child, all child? You can directly write how it is. This is only beginning level. Lot of things are there inside this concept. Now what we have to do, we cannot use this. We go to our page. What is our page? This is the page. In this page, we have to link. What we have to link? Relation is equal to style sheet. Style sheet. Style. href is equal to, it is in SAS. In SAS, what is the file? fx.css. No SCSS. CSS. SCSS is not understandable to browser. Now, when you apply this, and you can see that it is working fine. Those effects are applied. Now, if you want to make change every time, you have to go to the file, make the changes, compile again, then those changes will be updated. That means, for example, see now, I will go to SAS file. For heading, I will give background color as yellow. After doing the changes, open terminal, compile the command again. So SAS effects and translated. After translated, it is ready. It is updated. That means every time developers will write in the SAS file and they compile it, automatically it is updated into the CSS. It is updated into the CSS. Every time you have to do, right? Every time you have to do. So every time, every change you have to modify. This is a silly things to ask. You are asking like, I do modification, after that do I need to save? Is that a question? After writing anything, if you don't save, what will happen? The modifications will not save. That is not a question at this level. Right? That means at this level, that is these type of silly questions you need to avoid. Right? So after doing modifications, if you don't save, then those modifications will not update. That is the common sense. Right? So after doing modifications in the file, if you don't compile, how it will update? Right? That means every time you have to update. Every time you have to compile. Every time you have to compile. If you make changes in source code, every time compile. If you have common programming sense, every computer programmer knows that the main program modified, he need to compile again. Understood? That is the basic common sense in programming, right? Everywhere, every time you have to compile, recompile. So it will not automatically do that, right? We have to compile every time if you change the program. That is the common programming sense, right? So this is basically how we can do. Now here you have learned only one point. It is compiled. After that, what you have to do, link the CSS file to web page. Web page. I will put that logic here. CSS file to web page. Now in this, you have learned how to design structure. Now in SASS, you have a lot of things. What are those? See, in SASS, one of the main concept is you need to know variables. So first important, in generally in every programming you have variables. The purpose of variables, actually variables are storage locations. Storage locations in memory. In memory, where you can store a value, where you can store a value and use as a part of any expression from any location, and any number of times, that is actually the concept of variable. Technically, when you learn JavaScript, you will learn more about them. Actually in SASS variables are declared by using SASS variables are declared by using dollar variable name colon whatever value you want to store. For example, see the concept of variable here, how it works. Now what I am doing is, here I will go here, I will put here above the container, I am using dollar, I will keep shadow. Shadow is a variable name. In that we will put some values, 2 pixel, 2 pixel, 2 pixel and gray, that is the shadow values. And another option, I will put border is another variable. In that we have 2 pixel solid, some red color, that is the shadow. Now see here, I want to apply border for container. You don't need to write this now. You can remove those values, directly access dollar, you can access dollar border. That means you can access the values from this variable. Suppose I want to apply box shadow for a container, then what we do? Box shadow values will come from dollar shadow. Same shadow I want for heading also. Then what we will do here also? Box shadow we will get from dollar shadow. Same border I want for paragraph also. That means border we will access from dollar border. What is advantage of this uniformness? That means now you see you are writing these at one place and using from so many locations. What is advantage? If I change the shadow at one place, it will affect everywhere. Otherwise, what I have to do? Everywhere I have to go and change the shadow. Because generally we design website themes. Themes means one theme changed, all will be uniformly changed. Such themes we have to design using such concepts. Now I will save this now. I will save this. I will compile this now. Transcompile. After transcompiling, remember in the CSS, variables will not be there. In the CSS, observe the CSS file. You see the CSS file, variables will not be there. Directly it will apply box shadow. Directly it will apply box shadow. It will apply border. But advantage is, observe carefully, it is working now. It is working. It is working. I will remove that other contents here. And for paragraph, we will do one more work here. For paragraphs, what we will do here also, I will give padding. Padding as suppose 5 pixel, I will give padding. Okay. Now you see, after that we have to compile again, and you can see the changes are updated here. Observe carefully now. Suppose I want to change border for everyone. Border color, shadow, I want to change. Just I need to update here. So here I will put here as is a border as suppose red border and red shadow border I will put as black. I will put black like this, or you can change even the values also. That means after doing this you compile again. When you compile, it will affect everywhere. That means it will change in every location. It will change the box shadow for container, it will change the box shadow for heading. Everywhere it is going to affect. And automatically in CSS file, it changed everything to red. Right? We have to modify at every location. Now we don't need to modify at every location. That means you just modify here. Suppose it is 5 pixel, 5 pixel and 2 pixel, and compile, automatically it is applied to every location. You define at one place, it will affect everyone. In a uniform way, it is going to modify and define that. This is the concept of variables. We can declare a variable, you can store some data into it, and you can access the variable and apply wherever you want. What is advantage of that? You change at one place, it will affect everywhere. So this is the concept how we can configure variables, means how we can define the variables and use them. Right? That means you configure, and if I want to apply anywhere, we have a selector. After that we have an attribute, and here we can access variable name. If you access the variable name, whatever value stored inside it, it will come. What is advantage of that? You can make changes, it will affect everywhere. This is technically how you can define variables. Now through this we have lot of conditions, iterations, logics, so much is there which makes CSS more faster, right? That we'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow we will discuss the other things in the SASS, means how we can build SASS in a better way, so that CSS will be simplified now. But in real time, depends on project. Nobody will force you to use SASS. They will ask you choice. If you are creating Angular, React like projects, they will ask, do you want SASS or less or CSS? Your wish. If your company also doesn't forces you to use SASS, this is only developer's choice. If you use it, you can do better. It is advantage for you as developer. But if you say that no, I will do directly CSS, that's your risk. You are wasting your time. But by the time you have to finish it, while using SASS you will finish, or CSS you finish, they don't care. And sometimes they force, because their entire library is in SASS. Because already they built a library in SASS, they want you to work on that. That is the reason, depending on situation. So we have to learn these type of pre-compilers to make CSS better. Tomorrow we will see some more options on that. Tomorrow we'll continue.